Hello everyone, I just wanted to do a quick video. By day, I'm a computer technician in a Microsoft rich environment. Been going on almost 10 years now uh, in my current role. So I just wanted to do a quick video showing kind of what I experienced in looking into some of the stuff that Chris Titus is exposing, how Windows 11 24H2, the file explorer is dependent on it running or having recall enabled via the Microsoft Dism tool, which is kind of different than I think what how some people are understanding it to be. I'll get to that in a moment here. So seeing my processor and stuff like that, I am in fact on 24H2, and I just installed it. As you can see, the dates match current date and the installed date. So this is a fresh install of Windows 24H2 from the beginning, uh, and like others have been experiencing, if I go into terminal and Dism online, get feature info and feature name recall. So it is showing enabled. So I was doing some research on the matter to see where it keeps the files, like I don't just want to be like, it's enabled in Dism because Dism's kind of its own animal. It doesn't necessarily mean the feature is actually working if Dism reports the feature to be enabled. It just means that the file system for that feature is set up and in place for it to work, but it doesn't mean that it's actually enabled and working. So my way of proving whether or not it's working is to see if it's generating files. We know that this recall is taking screenshots every 3 or 5 seconds and saving information about said screenshot in a SQLite database. So it's got to keep those files somewhere. So I've been doing some checks. I've been looking at this. Unless this is outdated information, I don't seem to have this folder on it. So I'll use the shortcut local app data close parentheses. So it's not showing up in here, and as you can see in my folder browser options, I am showing hidden files. I also have hide protected operating system files off. So it should show that, and see if I remember the name, Core AI Platform.00, I think it is. Yeah, it doesn't seem to find that unless I got that in wrong. Core AI Platform 00. So I don't seem to have this folder under my profile. So that's a no-go. I am meeting the requirement for disk space, so that's not holding it back. I also don't seem to even have the settings and privacy and security. I don't see a recall and information on any of this here. So it's definitely not exposing it to the GUI there. And it's like, of course I do have an older system that definitely doesn't meet the NPU requirement, which is 45 trillion operations per second. like in fact this processor doesn't even have an NPU at all. So let's do a search for Core AI platform. So the question I'm trying to answer is if it's even making any sort of files. Uh, let's just throw one in for UKP because that was the folder under Core AI platform it would have been under. So if it's actually not generating said files, so it's taking screenshots every 3 or 5 seconds or whatever it is, it should be generating some form of like files, like there should be some sort of files there by now. So I've been running this for a few hours, so it should have a good 30 or 40 megabytes worth of screenshots somewhere. So I mean this could be outdated information. But yeah, that's why I'm not convinced that it's actually doing anything, because all that it being enabled in Dism is telling me is that at the base level the feature is available. So at the actual image level, the feature is being exposed to the rest of the operating system, but can be up to the rest of the operating system to actually enable and activate said feature. So that's why I'm not convinced. I'm being skeptical about this. So I'm not seeing anything there. Only other thing I can think of, and what I did made this really laggy. It'd help if I clicked the right things. I think if I go into performance, resource manager, disk operations, log file, so I'm not seeing anything on here to indicate that it's writing screenshots. It's prefetch. Log file, log file. It is a lot of file operations for essentially being idle though. This is why I'm not a huge Windows fan, even though I work with it every day. It's notifications, so that's been there. One side-by-side stuff. Just downloading updates, I think, currently. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything on here that looks out of the ordinary for previous versions of Windows. The other thing I know of would be to go back into local app data, because that does seem to be the place, and see if there's anything that changes frequently here. So we got one here. I don't think that's big enough to be a picture file. Just offlining it for, was it JPG that, yeah, not a supported format. I might have to go back into here and do the setting. This is like another image format, but it really doesn't look big enough to be a picture though. At least not to me. Nope. So I don't think it's a picture file, so that's probably not it. So yeah, personally, that's the only thing that seems to be changing that frequently. So this file hasn't been changed since 703, so that's not, that won't be recall. .705, not seeing anything in here. OneDrive sync, won't be that. Yeah, I'm not seeing anything at all here, so if someone has more up-to-date information on where, or can confirm using a Copilot Plus PC, where the current iteration of recall is saving the information, if it's the same spot here. It's like, I'm going to have to say that recall is actually not working in the setup at least. Even though Dism is saying it's enabled, it's actually not doing anything. So, even though I'm still kind of concerned that it is a prerequisite for File Explorer, I do think that is odd. I'm going to have to call this conspiracy that is going to be spying on everyone debunked for now, at least the way I understand it. Of course, that being said, that's just my opinion, my experience. So if someone has any contradicting information or any contradicting experience, happily record it. Paste the link in the comment section. I don't care as long as it's like another video on YouTube and it does show like screen recordings like what I'm doing here to show the contrary, but I'm not seeing anything on my current setup and my current virtual machine to indicate that recall is actually doing anything. It's just Dism is saying it's enabled. If you disable it before the first user logs in, then it'll revert back to the Windows 10 File Explorer. But yeah, I'm gonna consider this debunked for now personally. Even though I'm not a huge fan of Windows, I work with it every day. Then at nighttime, I'm like, I just want stuff that just works, so I'm gonna use Linux Mint. So that's just kind of the way I think. So I'm like, but I don't think it's doing anything on unsupported hardware currently. So I'll leave the rest up to you if you want to believe that is a huge spying campaign, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. Microsoft definitely does target advertisements, especially in their Bing search engine, um, and somewhat in Edge, and they're starting to do the app suggestions down here sometimes. So, other than that, I guess I'll see you in the next one. And yeah, I don't think this video is as short as planned, so I guess I'm going to cut it off now.